Are you curious about studying abroad? Welcome to After Hour Happy Hour. We are your chaotic but cathartic co-host. I'm Vicky.
I'm Jamila.
I'm Sharon.
Let's all go in a circle and talk about our study abroad experience, where we studied and when we studied. I'll kick it off. I studied abroad 2 years ago, so the summer before my junior year of college, I went to Greece for 5 weeks.
So I studied abroad this time last year, so August of 2019 till December of 2019 in Beijing, China.
And I studied abroad in January to March of this year, 2020, in Paris.
Why did you guys choose wherever you wanted to study abroad?
So I've always wanted to stay abroad, and I thought of Europe too, because I think a lot of people just think of Europe as a first choice, and I thought about it. But then in the end, I chose China, and my parents were more supportive of me going to China because they really want me to be exposed more to the Chinese culture. And the two choices that was offered at our school was Shanghai or Beijing, which is like two of the biggest cities in China. So I chose Beijing because I've been to Shanghai like numerous times for a longer period of time, and I wanted to go Beijing where I've been before, but for a shorter period of time. So I want to live there and see how it would be like to live at the capital of China.
So I didn't always know that I wanted to study abroad, but by the time I was older, I was like, okay, I'm not about to spend all 4 years in San Diego. So I think my decision was pretty last minute because originally I was supposed to study abroad in London and that didn't work. And then I chose Spain, that didn't work. So then my last options, I was deciding between Paris and Rome. So honestly, I didn't do as much research and look into as much as I should have. At that point, I was just like, I'm gonna study abroad before I graduate. So I picked Paris. I've never been to Europe before, and I didn't want to go to Asia because I have family in Korea, so I could just go whenever I want technically. So I wanted to go somewhere I've never been before, and I wanted to travel a lot, so I chose Paris in Europe.
I didn't also have like a solid reason. Well, I do have a solid reason of why I chose Greece, but it's not to go to Greece. So all three of us went to UC San Diego. And within UC San Diego, there's 6 colleges, and I'm in Eleanor Roosevelt, ERC. And part of our Gs, we have to take 5 history classes, and I didn't want to take all 5 of them at school because each class required you to write an essay, and I didn't want to write an essay because I don't know how to write essays. And so I decided to do one of the classes abroad, and then when I chose the class, it just so happened to be in Greece. That was the history that it was going to teach. So then I was like, I'm just going to go to Greece, get an easy A, and it'll be fun. So both of your programs were EAOP programs?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I have an interesting thing because mine was an EAOP. Mine was specific to just my college class, so like it was for ERC's GE. So I did it under Global Seminar, which is a UC San Diego study abroad program. So I only studied abroad with people at UC San Diego versus you guys both met people outside in the other UC programs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Yeah, we all did pretty different programs because yours was only 5 weeks. JAM was like 3-4 months.
It was like a whole fall semester.
Yeah, yours was semester and mine was the same quarter system. So mine was only 10, technically 9 weeks because COVID sent me home a week early. But when you guys went to study abroad, did your expectations match up to the reality of the place, but also like studying abroad in general?
So I think my expectations of the place was already there because I've been to Beijing like 3 times before. So I already kind of knew what the city was like. And my expectation was actually exceeded. I think a really big reason is because of the people that I met. So my stay abroad group was about 17 other UC students, which is, I know, really little compared to you guys' study abroad groups, but for Beijing, it's not a really popular location. So 17 was actually a lot of people for the program. But I had a friend who is also from UCSD, so we didn't plan on doing this program together, but we just happened to be doing the same program. So I had her to begin with, and then we met like a couple other people that was inside the program. So then we got along really well, and I think a big part of it is because the friends like really made up the experience. Like we would just go out a lot. We traveled a lot together, like to different cities in China, and then we like went out almost every weekend. So I think they made my abroad experience so much better. And it's been a year since my abroad, and sometimes we're still always like, oh my god, like I wish we could go back. Like especially during times like this, you know, we're stuck at home. We just keep reminiscing of like the really fun times that we had.
Mm-hmm. I think mine was same. So my expectations were definitely exceeded because I went into the program without any expectations, and also very similar is the people made my whole experience. So I got blessed. I didn't like anybody in my program besides the people I housed with. And I got so lucky because I went into the study abroad program not knowing anybody, but because they were UC San Diego people, I got to choose who I wanted to room with. And then through a friend, he was like, all my friends are doing that program and I know you'd like them. So like room with them, hit them up. And I was like, okay, mutual friend, let me hop on that. And so I texted them. I was like, hey, like heard you needed a roommate. And I met them once or twice before. And so there were 4 other girls. So it would make 5 of us in one apartment. And thank everything that I was able to room with them, because after I did the study abroad program, I was like, wow, I really didn't like anyone else but these group of girls. And we did everything together.
For me, going into study abroad, I think my expectations were too high. Like I said before, I didn't do as much research as I should have. So I chose Paris, and I don't know if it's because it's glorified and like the Eiffel Tower and all this stuff. So I think I had really high expectations, but leading up to it, when I would tell people I'm studying abroad, people would be like, oh, people are kind of mean there or whatever. And I got really scared, and I was like, what? But then you're going into a different country. Of course, it's not like everyone's going to be friendly and say hi to you if it's not their culture. And the French people are just generally more reserved and stuff. But overall, I think Paris, like I can't say I would sell my kidney to go back kind of thing. But I got to travel a lot, and my roommate was like so cool. So I think overall it was a good time span of being there for 10 weeks or like 9 weeks and getting to travel and just get to know different parts of Europe. So, yeah.
Even though I was abroad the longest, I was basically there for 4 whole months. I honestly, if I get to stay abroad like the same group of people, I've been so down to extend that program to like 6 months or a year, because it was just so fun. And I think all of us would probably have agreed, maybe like not a year because we get homesick, but we all had such a fun time.
A question I had is, if you were to give 2 advices, one that is why you shouldn't study abroad and one why you should study abroad, what would it be?
So I'll just give general advice. So the first piece, I would say, if you're someone who adapts to like any environment or culture pretty easily, then you can kind of choose like wherever you want to go. But if you're someone who has a little harder time adjusting or it takes longer, definitely do the research and watch like YouTube videos or travel vlogs to really get a sense of how life is locally. Because for my roommate, she was also from a UC, but she's definitely a person who had a hard time or longer time to adjust. Because for one, Beijing, they speak strictly Chinese. It's not as westernized as Shanghai, where you could like speak English. So for a foreigner who doesn't know how to speak Chinese at all, it could be a little unforgiving. So for her, it was like harder to adjust. So then if you are a person who takes like a little bit longer and stuff, really do the research before you go.
For me, I know in the moment while you're in college, it might be easy to be like, okay, but if I study abroad, I might miss out on the experiences at the college that I'm going to. And that was partially why I hesitated to study abroad too. But honestly, if you really think about it, once you graduate and you start working, it's going to be hard for you to travel. It's not as easy as you think. So I think take everything with a grain of salt and really consider, do you want to, have this lifetime opportunity to do school and be abroad at the same time? Definitely do your research. For example, Jam studied abroad as a semester, so she was there from August to December, while I chose a winter program that was actually quarter, so it was only 10 weeks. So if you think you're gonna have a harder time adjusting to, maybe pick a program that's shorter. And I'm really glad London didn't work out, because if I went to London, I would have been broke. So research.
So another tip I have is, if you choose an Asian country, you're really getting bang for your buck.
Okay, but you get bang for your buck traveling wise in Europe. It's so much more affordable, but we could talk about that later.
I guess if we're talking about money, the best advice that my professor gave me is like, don't exchange your money at the airport, or like don't exchange money beforehand. If anything, just use your debit card or whatever card you use to pull money out of your bank at a local bank, because that transaction charge is a lot cheaper than going someplace and exchanging your money for, if that makes any sense at all. I think your professor is also super important. I don't know if people talk about professors and stuff, but I got really lucky where my professor like basically knew people study abroad to travel, so he didn't make our workload super hard. He was educational, like he took us to museums and stuff, and he incorporated traveling and studying into our education, and so like it made the experience better because I both learned the history but also got to see things. Some stories I've heard was like, oh, my professor gave me so much work that I didn't even have time to travel, and so research the professor beforehand, because some professors don't acknowledge that people study abroad to want to travel and see the city and not study.
I think for your program's a little bit different because study abroad was specifically made for that class. But I think for Sharon and I, we both have freedom to choose which classes would align with our requirements. So for me, all the courses that I took and the program that I did was a language and culture class. So my classes was just learning Chinese. So it was pretty easy, I would say, and it was like pretty chill. But I did have classes like Monday through Friday, but on the weekends I just traveled, and sometimes the Monday to Friday classes were pretty skippable too. Like my friend literally skipped half the classes and she still got an A in the class, while I was like a student for once and I went to every single class.
How do you skip class? You had 17 people.
Okay, so the classes that we took wasn't with just UC students. It was like with like everyone who was in the program. So it was like people from all over the world. So you have people from like Germany, Japan, Korea. Like one of the really close friends that I met who happened to be in the same class as me, she went to USC. So you like meet people from all over the world, but at the same time like other parts of America too. So
Wait, yeah, see, that's so cool. I took the same classes with like the same people.
Same. And it was not fun. But where did you guys live? Was it university dorms, apartments?
I lived at university dorms. Like our dorms is basically specifically made for foreigners, so it was like a lot nicer compared to the local one. We had our own room, we had our own bathroom. It was like 2 people in each suite. It was really nice. And it was like right next to campus.
So nice.
Ours was definitely apartment housing scattered throughout Paris. So we didn't all live in one location. We were like everywhere.
It was really fun that we lived in the dorms because it felt like freshman year again, and we'd just go to each other's dorms and then we'd just chill there until like 4 a.m. Or when we come back, we will all just come back together and just chill at our place for like another few hours.
Any super funny stories?
Well, I had a little accident. It was called accident. Where I busted like my eyebrow open and then I got 4 stitches. You can't really see, but it's like right under my eyebrow. And then this part is like permanently numb. Like I don't have feelings over here anymore. Like the nerves are like permanently damaged. But hey, it didn't damage my eye or anything.
I remember the next morning I got a FaceTime call from Jam and there was like a fat gauze on her forehead and I was like, what happened to you? And she was like, I ran into a pole.
Okay, that's why we call it a little accident, okay?
Oh my gosh.
I definitely don't have any wild stories. The only thing is I got my nose piercing for $25 in Spain, so.
That's pretty wild.
You, Vicky?
You got a tattoo in Greece.
Oh, I did. I always forget that I did that. So I got tattoos when I was in Greece. That was like my wild thing.
Where's your tongue piercing? I mean, what the?
My what?
Where is it?
My what? I don't know what happened.
No one has a tongue piercing in this group. What did I just say? Where did you get your tattoo?
I got a lip tattoo. I got the word fuck tatted on my lip. It's like faded. So the reason why I decided to do that is because lip tattoos fade. Obviously mine is not completely faded. It's been 2 years, but it's definitely like half gone and I'm not going to show it. Should I show it? I don't know.
I literally was just thinking, can you show it to us?
Maybe I could include a picture. If you're on the video, I'll include a picture, so go watch the video.
So I won't include pictures of my wound because it was too gruesome.
Please?
Dude, like literally my eye that I hit on, it was completely swollen. It became a monolith and then so I got stitches, right? And you can't get your stitches wet for 24 hours. So I didn't get a chance to wash my hair like the next day. I had to wash it the day after. And when I washed my hair, all the blood fell out, like all the dry blood fell out, and my entire shower floor was red and it smelled like iron.
Oh my god, I'm Crystal MVP. Like, I would have freaked out if there was that much blood. Like, I'd be like, I think she's dying.
Oh, no, no, no. Let's move on to a non-gruesome topic. I was gonna ask, did you guys travel anywhere else outside of the country while you were there, or did you mainly travel within your country?
So I traveled within China only because China as a country itself is already so big. There's so many places to go already. So I traveled to, I think, like 5 to 6 cities in China. And the favorite city that I went to was Chengdu, which is more south, like not complete south of China, but like more south. And it's where like the numbing hot pot is really good and where the pandas are famous for. That's probably the favorite city I traveled to. And I really want to go back because I was only there for a day.
I didn't. So, fun fact, the entirety of Greece is basically the size of California. And I didn't know this until afterwards, but I'm pretty sure I went to almost all of Greece. Obviously, not every island, but I didn't travel outside of Greece at all. So, on weekends and like any off time, I would travel within Athens or go to other islands. So, I didn't really go to like anywhere outside of Greece.
Okay, I traveled a lot while I was abroad. I only had 10 weeks, so I wanted to maximize my traveling. So I went to London, Rome, Barcelona, Spain, Santorini, and Amsterdam.
I did not realize you traveled so much outside.
You know, that's honestly not that much, like compared to a lot of other people I know.
That's true.
But compared to like you guys, I travel like almost every weekend.
Well, what's the favorite city or country that you went to?
Rome, Italy for sure.
Did it meet the expectations everyone has of like Italy and stuff?
The expectations I had for Paris were the reality of how it was when I went to Rome. That was my expectation. Yeah, it's so beautiful.
Why did you like Rome so much?
Yeah.
It's just so different. Like, I'm not a very art person, but the way that the city is built and yeah, the architecture is insane. The people are so nice. I think by that point, it's because Parisians are very kept to themselves. So they don't like welcome you in. Versus when I went to Rome, everyone was like so welcoming. And it's just really, really beautiful.
Wait, so earlier you said that you were choosing between Rome and Paris. And then you ended up choosing Paris. So do you wish you chose Rome instead?
That's hard because I don't think I would trade my experience in Paris, but if I got a chance to study abroad again in Rome, I would. Yeah, see, I was going to ask if you guys got the chance to study abroad again, would you go to the same country or go somewhere else?
I'll be so down to go back to the same country. There's so much to
Really?
do in China. Like, I've been to China like multiple times with my parents. So I always kind of knew what it was like, but being there with your friends, it was just so fun and there's just so much to do. Like, at any point in the night, like you can always find a place to eat. You can always find something to do. It's never boring.
I wouldn't go back. Like I said earlier, like Greece is so small. I'm pretty sure I've been everywhere that I want to go to and experience the whole thing. So I wouldn't go back unless it was like with friends who's never been, I'd go. But for a study abroad, I wouldn't go back because there's so many other places. Like I would love to go to Asia.
Yeah, I would go to Korea.
To study abroad?
Yeah, not because I got into K-pop, I swear. By the time my study abroad ended, I realized I wanted to go to Asia if I could again. I think it's more so like my parents know Korea, right? So I could like ask them where to go, or I've always just been with family and I would love to go with friends. So
it's really interesting because prior to her stay abroad in Europe, Sharon was always like, no, I would like never want to stay abroad in Asia. Like she was pretty like, I like Europe more. But then after stay abroad, I was pretty surprised to find out she's like, oh, actually, if given another chance, she would go to Asia or like go to Korea.
I feel like Europe has a very touristy like attraction. Obviously, everyone wants to go to Europe, but almost always I feel like people are underwhelmed when they go there. Like every beautiful place that people depict of Europe, you've probably seen on social media and stuff. And so once you go there, not every place in Europe is going to look like that. And it's just those specific areas. And so like everyone that I feel had really high expectations or would like talk highly of Europe and really want to go, once they get there, it's like a very underwhelming experience for them.
Except for Rome, Amsterdam, and maybe Santorini.
Did you guys have any culture shock when you got there?
So for me, I didn't have much of a culture shock just because, like I said, I've been there multiple times before. But for someone like such as some of my friends who've never been to Beijing for that extended period of time, it could be a little bit of culture shock just because even the dialect of Mandarin there is harder to like adjust to at first. They have like a lot more tongue rolling. And food-wise, it was so good. Like I've always loved Chinese food, but after traveling to different cities in China, I was like, holy crap, Chinese food is so good. I completely fell in love with hot pot. Like, I've always loved hot pot, but there's just so much even different varieties of hot pot there. Like the numbing spicy was freaking amazing. I gained a good amount of pounds there that I'm still trying to lose, but it was all happy weight, no regrets at all. I would do it all over again, and I freaking love Chinese food.
You know, when you talk about the right topic with Jams, when she talks really quick and really excited and there's a lot of hand motions going on. I didn't have culture shock just because I did a little bit of research before I went to Greece to kind of know, like, food-wise what to expect. I've never had Greek food before, but I knew a lot of it was like bread and wine and then gyros, and that's legit all I ever ate. The only thing that I wish that they had was more vegetables, because the only time I ever had vegetables was if I bought vegetables at a grocery store or if I got like a salad, which I'm not a salad person, so I never order a salad. And so I like barely ate veggies the 5 weeks I was there. It was kind of bad.
Dude, my favorite salads are Greek salads, but I don't know if it's just like an Americanized thing or if Greek salads actually exist. But I really do like Greek food though. Greek food's really good.
It is. So good.
Okay, I think the biggest culture shock for me was eating at restaurants. The French take their sweet time eating. So like I remember the first time I went to a restaurant, I was like, hurry. Okay, not actually, but I was like, come on, like I'm trying to eat and like leave. But no, they take their sweet time. So I think that was my biggest culture shock.
Oh my gosh, another thing on top of that. America, everyone's like in and out all the time,
Yes.
but Europe never takes sweet time for everything. And then another thing is there's no smoking policy. Like you could smoke anywhere and everywhere. So people would sit in restaurants indoor smoking, and that was the biggest because I don't like the smell of cigarettes. So everywhere you go, everyone's just like smoking cigs all the time, and I'm just like,
Dude, one time when I was really young, it was my brother's graduation, like high school graduation, and we went to a French restaurant to eat. And I didn't know that French restaurant takes forever, and the whole meal was legit like 4 hours. So literally, I ate the first 2 courses, and then between each course, I would literally just take a nap, and I have my dad wake me up, and then I'll fall back asleep again, and he'll have to wake me up for the next course because that freaking dinner took legit 4 hours.
that is so funny.
What was your guys' favorite and least favorite part of studying abroad? For me, my favorite part was definitely traveling. So for example, I didn't have class on Fridays. So I would legit just travel from like Thursday to Sunday or skip class Monday and come back Tuesday. And it's so much more affordable to travel in Europe. My flight from SD to New York was like $300, and that flight alone was still more expensive than my entire trip to Amsterdam, flights, Airbnb or hostel, food, everything included. So that was my favorite. My least favorite part, I don't know, towards the end I just got pretty homesick. That was about it.
So my favorite part was honestly everything. It was so fun. Like I was saying, I loved the people and everything. My least favorite part was probably that all my classes were like pretty spaced out. I had classes like Monday through Friday, so then I couldn't like travel as much as I wanted to, but that was probably like the only dislike that I had about the entire program.
I think mine is not specific to Greece itself, but my favorite part about studying abroad and stuff is the idea of how unfamiliar and unknown everything is. So every day I woke up, I was like, I'm going to experience something new. I'm going to visit a place that's new. And it always felt like I had something to do. And that was super fun to know that like, today is going to be a new day and I get to do something, and it was like really productive. My least favorite part is I was Asian in a Europe country and people were low-key racist as food.
Really?
It wasn't like racist to the point of harming me. It was ignorant. They would like come up to me and be like, "Where are you from?" And then when I say America, they'd be like, "No, wait, where are you really from?" I remember at a bar, one guy came up to me and was like, "Ha ha hi," and I was like, "Oh." And it wasn't like they meant to be racist. Like, obviously it is racist and super ignorant, but it was like the lack of education to know that that's like hurtful or could be harmful if they did it. And so like that was also another big ew.
I never got that experience. It was mostly like people just stare at you. Europeans love to stare. And I'm like, you want to take a picture? Because that'll last longer.
That's so funny.
See, I was completely opposite. I felt like I was going home. I was home.
You were.
I mean, like, people would question, be like, oh, why is your Chinese not that great? I'll be like, oh, I'm from the US. And then they're like, oh, then actually your Chinese is pretty good considering that you're from the US. Like, my Mandarin exponentially increased because everyone in my group weren't as good at it. So I like acted as a translator a lot in the beginning. So then I just had to put my shitty Mandarin out there, and then it just like skyrocketed. I hope my stay abroad experience convinced people to try Asia, because I feel like Beijing or China as a country is not the most popular place of choice for people to stay abroad. But if you're even just interested in the slightest bit, just do some research about it, and it's actually a super fun experience. Everyone that I've talked to that like did the program, they have nothing bad to say about it. Not just people within my program, but even people within like the Shanghai program, they had like nothing bad to say about it. Everyone really enjoyed their time. Well, that was our study abroad experiences. As you can see, we went to pretty different places, had pretty different experiences. So leave a comment or let us know if you would travel to any of these places, or if there's any place you have in mind that you want to travel to. And make sure to subscribe at After Hour Happy Hour for your weekly chaotic but cathartic sessions on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and or YouTube. We don't accept tips at this happy hour, but most definitely appreciate a rating or review on Apple Podcasts. Come chat with us on our Instagram at After Hour Happy Hour and let us know what you would like us to talk about next. Bye!
Bye!